Shout out to all my conscious readers out there. It's your boy Ian from thelitunderground.com here today to give you guys a personal tour of my main bookshelves, which comprise of over 650 books. So, there are going to be genre timestamps in the summary below, and let's get started. Boom, everybody. So let's get started with fiction. And what is the first book here? Let's see. I've also done this in alphabetical order, so for each genre. So we have Kobo Abe's The Woman in the Dunes, which is one of the most bizarre books I've ever read. By the time you see this, I'll probably have already reviewed it on the channel. Pretty cool book. And so we're just going to be going through some of the highlights. Boom, we got Margaret Atwood. And then right here, I want to tell you guys about this. Albert Camus. I have most of Camus' books right here. Influential, and maybe one you haven't heard about yet, which is Albert Camus wrote a screenplay for The Possessed. One of Dostoevsky's books right here, aka The Devils. Look at how torn up this one is. I read this 2 times. Water damage, everybody. So this is an awesome. If you enjoyed The Possessed or The Devils, Camus has an awesome screenplay that, you know, it's just some ancillary knowledge. So we have that going on. Then right here, of course, we can't miss this, especially in alphabetical fiction order. The Canterbury Tales, everybody, by your boy Chaucer. If you guys don't know about it, you don't know about it. Guess what? It sucks really bad, but it also has some of the most important axiomatic knowledge for where literature came from and where it was going. So, you know, I took a whole course on this. There's a lot of notes in here. You know, first-person POV. So check out the Canterbury Tales, everybody. Eventually I'll have a course on that, but that's probably going to be a long time. That's when everything else that was good got read. So, and covered. So expect that maybe in a couple years. Now we're going to have this next shelf right here. And just right off the bat, one of the things, of course, House of Leaves, but Don DeLillo, everybody, one of the best American authors. Let's see what I got by him. Underworld, Libra, and Mao #2. And I think there's probably some other ones somewhere, but Libra's really good. It's about Lee Harvey Oswald. I would recommend this one. But Don DeLillo he's got a unique style, everybody. Like, it's DeLillo, or however you say it, excuse me. He's got a unique style. It's hard, it's postmodern, but you guys are smart enough to get through it, and I would 100% recommend that. Another, you know, we have all the Dostoevsky books, all right? And everyone, I'm going to be saying last name wrongs. Am I ignorant? Am I? Maybe because of that, but who gives a fuck? You know, there's always going to be some asshole out there who got his English degrees. Like, it's not... You don't even get me started. The Alexandria Quartet by Lawrence Durrell is another classic book from actually the 50s that won a lot of awards. Very underrated, unknown. I would check this one out, everyone. The Alexandria Quartet. Very and what makes the Alexandria Quartet really good for all you Proustians out there, all you guys who love Proust, Durrell goes with, and Durrell continues that tradition. So boom, let's keep moving, everybody. There's a lot of other good stuff here. James Ellroy for, you know, Louise Edrich, Love Medicine, Tracts. All of her stuff is great for Native American literature. Then we have all the Neil Gaiman stuff right here, everybody. We got probably almost all the stuff other than maybe Norse mythology. Then, of course, right over here, we got the Sandman. We got the Sandman by Neil Gaiman, the omnibus. Look how dope this is, the black binding. Let's pick a random page. Let's see what's going on. Whoa, he's exposing his body. Whoa. You guys know how it is. Sandman, I would recommend anything by Neil Gaiman once again. Hopefully he's coming out with a new book this year. And another one that's a little bit, if you've read The Sandman, there's actually a book of dreams that has short stories that are like spin-offs of Sandman by a lot of people, man. Like a lot of great authors. Excuse me for the delay. Let's see who's in this thing. Gene Wolfe, Harlan Ellison. No, not Harlan Ellison. Tori Amos and Gene Wolfe. Those are the only people I can actually know. But it's a really good book, everybody. I'm sorry to all the other authors who I probably should know. Then boom, we have The Tin Drum Man. This one's an interesting one. This one won, I think, the Nobel Prize in Literature, but Günter Grass turned out to be a Nazi, so that kind of didn't hold up very well. It's still an interesting book. Like, the start is about, like, well, I don't even want to give it away. It's very bizarre and very weird. I showed my dad, and he was like, what the hell's going on? So now we're going to go a little bit lower, everybody. Got the 7XLT on just for this. Autobiography of Malcolm X. Alex Haley, Roots. Got all of the Hemingway right here. I actually should have a different Hemingway book. You'll see that, you probably saw that in the other bookshelf tour. We have all the Hemingway, some critical theory on Hemingway, all the Dunes right here, at least most of the Dunes. Then we have some Herman Hesse, you guys know, Steppenwolf. Everyone's probably read this one, Siddhartha, one of the best. Look at this thing, I've destroyed this thing. Really easy read, 145 pages, everyone should read this. This is, and also what's up everybody? How's everybody doing out there? Let me know if you guys love any of these authors, if I need to read anything. This is the real lit, everybody. There is no BS easy fantasy novels in here. This is the real lit underground. Like, look, every single one of these, like, I'll grab something right here. I'm not even looking. This is going to be a classic. Franz Kafka, The Trial, classic, you know. If you're going to be spending time reading, you have to be reading stuff that is going to change your consciousness, that is going to make you change and stay up late at night and think. Anything else is hogwash. And the way you do that is to get recommendations from others, people who are smart, not the random person you meet at the bar. Look at, like, Neil Gaiman. I've learned about Gene Wolfe, which is, I think, right over here. I learned about Gene Wolfe from Neil Gaiman. I said, I read this Neil Gaiman book, and Gene Wolfe had a dope story, and I was like, who the hell's Gene Wolfe? And Neil Gaiman's always talking about Gene Wolfe because I look at who authors read. People who actually matter. Don't listen to anybody else. If someone around you tells you to read a book, who the fuck are they? Are they more knowledgeable than Gene Wolfe? Are they more knowledgeable than Oakley Hall's favorite authors or whoever? So probably not. And so FYI, there's going to be a Dune course, everybody, eventually. I think that's it so far that we've covered. So there's going to be a Dune course hopefully this summer. Check that out. If you've made it this far, we'll just put this aside. So now if we come down here, this has got some bangers in here. Of course, we have Kazuo Ishiguro and all of his books. That's going to be one of the courses I'm going to be covering soon. I've been prepping for that. I have all of his novels. Another one that most people don't know about. If you're looking for good African American literature, if you're looking for something that's maybe not well known but is written good, because with the mass production of stories now, like stories about slavery and things have been in for a while, and that's fine, and that's good to get the stories out there. But this is one of the classic novels from, let's see, 1998 or something, that Charles Johnson, along with his Middle Passage, I would say, 1982, I would call The Oxherding Tale and The Middle Passage by Charles Johnson some of the highest form of literature when it comes to literature about slavery that I've read. And I'm sure, like I said, there's a lot more out, and there's so much that I can't keep up anymore. Then that's what I'm saying about the saturation. There's so much that I can't tell you guys, but I can tell you that from a classic standpoint, that this has been recommended, and The Middle Passage, by many people when it comes to African American literature. So check that out. We got some Kafka right here. I had to get a new trial because my other trial just is destroyed. I got this in 8th grade, man. I read this in 8th grade. I mean, dude, it's done. I should probably just toss this, but sentimental value. If anyone needs a copy, come get it. I mean, we got James Joyce. We got a little bit of Joyce. We got Ken Kesey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's going to be happening soon, everybody. Big review on that. Critical theory review. Nothing really else on this one. Some good stuff, but nothing really covers. So let's keep moving on. Here we go. Boom. Oh, and to the master, everybody. This is the OG. Cormac McCarthy. This is going to be probably the most comprehensive course. I think Cormac McCarthy is the best writer in the world. Probably of all time, but especially living right now. And guess what? No Nobel Prize, no Pulitzer Prizes, no National Book Awards, no recognition, because guess what, everybody? This is about narrative. This is about a type of writing that takes decades of solitude to do. And guess what? Other people, you can't advertise that. Because if you advertise that, if you advertise Cormac McCarthy, it makes some of these other books look like complete trash. And it makes MFA authors and first novels getting published right now like trash. Like, honestly, they should just be peddling stuff like this. A lot of these books right here from, 50, 30, 40, 50, 120, 100 years ago are way better than what's being published now. But you can't keep publishing all the old stuff. You have to have, there's a recency bias in in the reading world. So Cormac McCarthy, I have a couple cool things. This right here, this is for the OGs right here. I shouldn't even show this, but Shreds of Matter. This is about Cormac McCarthy and nature. I'm going to be covering this soon in full, man. And Cormac McCarthy and the concept of nature. There is spiritual ecology, Schelling. There's so much in here. And this one's really cool too for all the Blood Meridian fans out there. It's called Notes on Blood Meridian. And this basically details how McCarthy came up with all of his ideas, like the history and the notes and what they've compiled. McCarthy spent months, on horseback going to all these different places and doing research. And a lot of this is cataloged in his, I think, University of Texas. I can't remember where, but he's got some notes at a university in Texas or New Mexico that goes over all this. I think the one in Texas is David Foster Wallace, but I could be wrong. So we have all of Cormac McCarthy's books, every single novel. Moving on, we have, of course, Mishima. We got some Mishima right here, Seppuku. Check out Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters by Cameron Schrader, the director Schrader. One of the best films out there. It's like really surreal. So now we have David Mitchell, everybody. So we can pull some of these out. I just did a review of Utopia Avenue. There will be a course eventually. Great books. David Mitchell is one of the best living modern authors. Things like Cloud Atlas, I'm sure you've maybe read. The classic David Mitchell book, the movie with Halle Berry and Tom Hanks. A bunch of other good ones. And then boom, then we have actually Walter Mosley starting to come in, everybody. Walter Mosley, African-American author from New York City. I saw him give a presentation one time about, he was supposed to give it on higher education. It was in front of Harry Reid, everybody, the old Speaker of the Senate or whatever, leader of the Senate, I don't know what it's supposed to be called, but in Nevada. And all these big wigs and the mayor of Las Vegas are all here, and then he gets up on the mic, and the first thing he says is that white people are just black, and black people in denial. We're all black. And he's just going off. And he's talking about why higher education sucks and why school sucks. And it was so funny because they paid him probably $50,000 to give a talk on why higher education is important. And he's trolling. And then at the end, Beverly Rogers, who funds the Black Mountain Institute, runs up there and she's like, well, what can you say about higher education? He's like, don't go. And she was trying to get it out of him. She's like, Mr. Mosley. I thought that was pretty funny because here we have a bunch of professors who are getting paid 6 figures who don't actually write books. And if they do, they're from books that get pushed into publishing houses because of their connection, or they're writing journals that 50 people maybe read. And then we have an author like Walter Mosley who writes crime fiction and Southern fiction and stuff like of that nature, who sold probably over 1 million copies, who's a master, telling us what to do, and they just can't fathom it. And they don't realize that the reason that they aren't Walter Mosley is because they're showing up every day at the university and just giving out a sludge of bullshit, man. The most low energy stuff ever. And once again, if you guys have an experience like that at university, let me know about it down below. Let me know what you think of Walter Mosley pulling that move. Then we have Murakami, going to be doing a course on him, of course. Another cool guy that you'll probably never hear about, Lewis Owens, man, a pivotal Native American theorist. He has 2 novels, Bone Game and The Sharpest Sight. I would check them out. They're a little bit rough. It's not like Kindle Unlimited rough, but they are good. They move, and there's a lot of spirituality, and there's a lot of stuff about being mixed blood. And that's somewhat of a big topic in the Native American community, and come into realizations, man. It's really like a coming of age novel. So boom, moving down to the next one, we have Tom Robbins novels. Looks like most all of them. Going to be doing a course on that soon. We have, of course, Atlas Shrugged. For all my guess what, everybody? I'm not a Republican and I'm not a fucking Democrat, so everyone can shut their mouth, because this is a pretty damn good book. If you read Atlas Shrugged and you don't think there's some merit in it, then you're just drinking the Kool-Aid. Just like if you read Jacques Derrida or Foucault as a Republican and you turn your nose up at it, you're smoking crack, man. You've been literally smoking crack. I don't know what kind of crack. I don't know if it's the hot Cheetos crack or the crack of the Republicans, or the Democrats, but Atlas Shrugged, everybody. Then we have, of course, the Greek plays, Shakespeare. Gotta have that axiomatic knowledge. Moving from Chaucer, Beowulf, Chaucer, Shakespeare, and actually the Greek plays come first, so that's funny. And then, some more Shakespeare. Leslie Marmon Silko, Ceremony, going to be doing a big thing on that. I have 2 source books on that material. Good stuff. Science fiction. No, here's a funny one. Pimp by Iceberg Slim. This is probably not culturally appropriate anymore, but when I was in 8th grade, my teacher had this really good 8th grade teacher, and he was reading this, and I was like, hey man, what is that? And he's like, yeah, it's about a pimp, man. It's about this guy's pimp biography. So I come home, I'm like, Mom, I want to get this book by Iceberg fucking Slim. And yeah. She didn't get it for me for a couple years. Then I got it online. I legally got it. And on page 2, I'll just tell you, for all the cat fans out there, his dad smashes his cat and just by the tail and smashing it into the wall. And I'm like 14 and a half probably, like upset. I'm like, my mom was right. But then I kept reading because then he suddenly was pimping out hoes. And it was so funny because people don't want to say that like kids are like influenced by things, but I was the weakest, scrawniest, nerdiest 14-year-old. But after that, like for like a week, suddenly I was like feeling myself. I'm like, yeah, like fuck all these hoes. But like, I was just like in this avatar where like I couldn't enact it, and then I forgot about it. And then obviously it passes. Where like when I would watch a mob movie, like I would just imagine like someone messing with me punching them. But I've never punched anyone in my life and never would want to. Except, when you're so volatile at those young ages, man. Then we have the Soldier of Sedan series, Gene Wolfe. Check that out. I already talked about Gene Wolfe. Let's see. This is an interesting book, everybody. This one's an OG book right here. A Man in Full. This is like a masterful performance of third person, close third person, right? Close third person being where you're in the reader's head, but it's still from a third person point of view. Like you're limited usually to one character or one perspective, but it's still from a third person point of view. It's not omnipotent third person. It's very close. So it's just a lot of, it's just really like a pronoun change. But this is about like a businessman in Georgia with a huge ranch and his like decline out of business and going bankrupt. And it's, dude, there's like Tom Wolfe, of course, a master. He has like 4-page descriptions of like the clothing that these people are wearing. It's like extreme. It's extreme writing, man. Like I can't even. It's a wild book, man, and it's got a lot of perspective. So you see that one at thrift stores all the time because people don't read it. But like I saw it at a thrift store for like $2. I'm like, I'm getting this thing. Then we have E.G. Yoshikawa, his famous book Mushashi. A lot of people have read this one, but actually the prequel to that is Taiko, which I think is just as good of a novel. So if you want to know like how the culture Mushashi got to be, check this one out. Now we're actually moving into some short stories. I'm just gonna leave that off, everybody. We have some short stories here. I would, of course, the only thing I'm gonna recommend right now in the space, of course, like Chekhov and some Carver and some Hemingway. But of course, you gotta recommend Harlan Ellison, Deathbird Stories. I got 2 copies. That's how good it is. Again, Dangerous Visions. Harlan Ellison is, I would say, the GOAT of short story. Writing. Like, no one is better than him. Yes, he is an asshole. Yes, he's a misogynist. I don't know if he's a racist, but he's probably a fucking racist. Like, I don't know, but he writes some of the most in-depth, best short stories of all time. Like, read Deathbird Stories, and you will be like I said, everything getting published in these magazines is trash when you hold it to this standard. And that's what people don't do. They're trying to compete with people at their university. They're trying to compete with the people in the magazines. But if you compete with people like Harlan Ellison, guess what? No one's going to publish you anymore. Because if you're the motherfucker in the journal who writes in and your story's way too good, they can't do that. That's going to kill the publishing model because everyone at home's it's going to explode. Why do you think the self-publishing revolution has happened? Why do you think book publishers have been going out of business and there's been so much controversy? Because there is a certain limitation that they have to do. There's censorship. There's a ton of stuff that happens. So Harlan Ellison, everybody. Of course. Nothing else really to say on that. Now we're moving into poetry. So we have some anthologies here. We have, of course, Amiri Baraka, one of the best African, I don't know what you want to call us to call him, but one of the best African poets. Leroy Jones. He changed his name from Leroy Jones. I mean, I can't even. Lately, I've become accustomed to the way the ground opens up and envelops me each time I go out to walk the dog. Dude, like, finish that poem, everybody. Like, we got to keep moving, but that one is called Preface to a 20-volume Suicide Note. That's what I'm talking about, man. Preface to a 20-volume Suicide Note. This is the shit, man. Like, this is crazy. Like, we're not reading about this right now. This isn't going on right now anymore. I mean, it is, but, like, not in, like, because, why I say that, why I'm, like, bagging, because back in the day, these good authors were in the limelight. They were the ones pushed into the limelight. But now, with all these quotas and standards that people have to meet for whatever, for gender standards or diversity standards of any kind, or money standards, that's the worst one of all. I don't even care about the diversity standards, whatever. The capitalism has killed the ability because you have to have readers, and the American public is becoming probably less intellectual than ever, so that you don't have that amount of readers. With Netflix and phones and all this stuff, you don't have readers anymore. So, let's move on to poetry, everybody. So here we are for everyone jumping in for the poetry. Boom. There's a lot on the other shelf. But, of course, we have Cesar Vallejo, one of the best Spanish poets, man. A lot of his stuff, some of it's, kind of wacky, but like, the connection he has with nature and with love is unsurpassed. He, along with, for South American poets, probably Neruda and, probably him and Neruda are the top dogs in terms of South American poetry of that nature. Then we have, of course, David Budville, and you guys probably don't know about David Budville, but he's one of the best nature poets out there. Very simple Chinese style. I'm going to read you. Our lives are like the clouds. We come We come from out of nowhere, take some shape a little while, then disappear. No wonder we all want money, power, prestige, immortality from poetry. Because we come from nowhere and then disappear, and that's why we want immortality from power and prestige, because it makes us feel like that. Really good stuff, man. I just want to sit and read all this stuff. I can't do that. This is a bookshelf tour, everybody. So boom, there it is. We're continuing on. Boom. Okay, here's the fire right here, everybody. This book right here. Everyone, if you've made it this far, you need to order this book right now. When I say order this book, go find this book. A link by hook or by crook on whatever website, but I think you should get a copy. Olaf Haig, this is his house right here. He had an apple orchard. Look at this. He inherited it. Lifelong orchardist, you could call it. But he was also a lifelong insane asylum, loony bin occupier. So the general nature of Olaf's life would be, excuse me, that he would be doing good for a couple years, then he'd be in the loony bin for a couple years. And the whole time, though, while he was, saying, quote unquote, he was writing poetry. But the best part about this book is that you have all of his journal entries. He kept a detailed journal, so you get the greatest hits of his journal, and you see his whole evolution. You see what he was reading. And then after each journal section, you get the poems from that time. You get all the poems he wrote during that time. And it's weird because you'll see, it's like May 7th, 1970. Then it's May 7th, or December 4th, 1974, and it's been a 4-year jump because he's been in the loony bin. And he's back at it, and you're like, what the hell is going on? So he has some of the best nature poetry everywhere. He's from Norway, the Norwegian poets, man. Who would have thought? Him and Rolf Jacobson, everybody. Rolf Jacobson right here. The roads have come to an end now. That's what I would recommend. By Rolf Jacobson, or North in the World, either or. Rolf Jacobson is one of the also best nature poets. Jacobson's probably a little bit better, but they both have their moments, and I haven't come to a definitive conclusion about that. But they're for sure in the top 5 of the best nature poets out there, and maybe in the top 10 of the best poets of all time out there. Maybe not top 10, top 25 for sure. Antonio Machado, everybody, great book. A lot of his work is here. Antonio Machado, a Spanish poet. Probably can't read. He has a lot of big poems, so I can't really say anything about that. Check his work out. Okay, we'll start skipping through some stuff. Ezra Pound is here. Rilke, you gotta have the Rilke. You gotta have the Book of the Hours, Sonnets to Orpheus, Duino Elegies. Some of the greatest writing of all time. Rilke, he's probably in the top 5 of most lists. Top 5 of probably all lists for greatest poet of all time. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. What's up, dude? We're doing the big tour. This is like the big tour, man. I'm actually, usually bookshelf tours are just like, blah, blah, blah. Here's my, and then you see the color coding of all the fantasy novels and all the YA novels, you're like, this person is an idiot, man. Like, what the hell? Like, they haven't, like, and you know, it's sad. It's like someone watching, like, Looney Tunes and the other people are watching, like, David Lynch movies or, like, you know. So, we'll skip Gary Snyder, Tracy K Smith. A lot of these books, I guess I could show you, have been signed, like Tracy K Smith, Poet Laureate. Not really my favorite poet, but, you know, some nice signatures in here. Patricia Smith, I did a thing on her. This book about Hurricane Katrina, everybody. Everyone needs to read this if you want the most in-depth analysis of, like, the emotions of Katrina. She wrote a nice little note to me. To Ian, I hope you always find the light. Very nice lady. Have a photo somewhere. Maybe I'll post that with this. William Carlos Williams, James Wright, and then we're done, everybody. We are done with poetry now. Now we are